Greetings everyone. Welcome back to Storytime Recaps. In this video, I'm going to recap one of the film from 2015, Even Lambs Have Teeth. Before we start, I hope your day be filled with sunshine and smile. Enjoy the story. In the beginning of the film, two best friends named Sloane and Katie are excited about their impending trip out of town. They plan to work for a month at a farm called Eco Field Organic Farms in order to save money for a shopping trip to New York City. The following morning, they are picked up by Katie's police officer Uncle Jason. They will be spending the night at Jason and his girlfriend's place before heading to the farm. As they settle into their new surroundings, Sloane suggests that they should come up with fictitious names for their stay in the town. Katie comes up with the name Ripley, while Sloane comes up with the name Heather. After Uncle Jason dropped the two off at a station from where they will take the bus to the farm, Uncle Jason, the protective cop uncle, tells the two that they should come up with a safe word in case they get into trouble. The deal is that they have to send a code word at the end of every text. That is, Jason asks Katie to send him a different code word every day in the alphabetical order. The safe word of the day is apple. After Uncle Jason leaves, the two still have to wait for the bus, which is expected to arrive in about an hour, so they decide to wait at the cafe. They soon attract the attention of two townspeople, with whom they end up sharing a table. The two women introduce themselves using the made-up identities from the previous evening, while the two men identify themselves as brothers, Jed and Lucas. Although Katie is initially hesitant, she caves into Sloane's silent plea, and the two end up getting inside the young men's blue vehicle when the brothers offer to give them a lift to their place of employment. But things don't go as to plan. When the two women finally arrive at their house, Jed purposefully drives past the farm where Katie and Sloane work, confusing them. Their shady mother welcomes them inside and offers them tea before they go to the farm. Once inside, Katie receives a text from her police uncle, which she responds to with their agreed-upon code of conduct, so they eat pie and drink tea, things they probably shouldn't do but do nevertheless. When the two realize something is wrong and their vision goes blurry, it turns out that there is a narcotic in their drinks. They try to escape, but fortunately, Jed and Lucas are able to knock them out and bring them back inside. The following day, while Katie and Sloane are terrified and shackled in the middle of the forest, Jed approaches them and informs them that they will now be residing here and provides them with the necessities for survival, including clothing, a bed, and a toilet. In the subsequent scene, which takes place after Katie and Sloane have changed into their clothes, Jed's supervisor Boris appears and takes Katie's phone to see if anyone knows where they are. It is then that he finds out that both Katie and Sloane have lied about their names and the code word she used in the text message. When things get back on track, Katie and Sloane are eventually compelled to inform him that the word apple is a safety word. Just as Sloane and Katie are preparing to take a bath in their homemade showers, the town sheriff arrives brandishing a revolver. It turns out that the sheriff is a piece of crap who supports human trafficking, and that once the nasty sheriff has his full, he has come to rape one of the ladies. Sloane travels to the other side of town to comfort a shaken-looking Katie. The most recent text that Uncle Jason received from Katie uses the same safe word that she used yesterday, back in the woods, which is concerning him. Another customer is welcomed by Jed and Lucas. We will refer to him as a scruffy guy from now on. He then selects Sloane and carries her into the trailer. Unsurprisingly, the scruffy guy is a little crazy. Going back to the cop uncle, he eventually calls Sloane in Katie's workplace and finds out that they didn't show up for work yesterday. Thinking they're in trouble, he heads out to get them. As the next customer approaches, Jed and Lucas hide their heads, but as soon as the customer gets closer, the pig mask guy picks Sloane up and takes her inside the trailer, making Sloane and Katie's day much worse. After he leaves, it's Katie's chance to sue the scared Sloane. Yeah, Sloane looks even more traumatized in the following scene, so we're not sure exactly what the pig mask person did to her. Uncle Jason goes to the sheriff's office and encounters the corrupt sheriff of the town that we previously met. It is then revealed that the uncle is an FBI agent and that he is speaking out because he believes his niece is being abducted. The FBI uncle tells the sheriff that he knows they're in danger because Katie failed to use a new code word in her most recent text message sent back in the woods, which somehow adds intrigue to the story. Clearly, the sheriff has let the kidnappers know that Katie lied to them about the safe word because she didn't want the FBI to interfere with their human trafficking operation, and that Katie's uncle is an FBI agent. The manager Boris orders Jeff to murder them both and dispose of their corpses without their knowledge. Katie overhears them talking and decides to listen in. When the FBI uncle decides to go to the cafe where he last dropped off Katie and Sloan, conveniently, the barista remembers exactly what kind of truck Katie and Sloan left with. The following day, Katie informs Sloan that the kidnappers are planning to kill them just before the kidnappers and Scruffy Guy arrive. They then leave Scruffy Guy behind to watch them. Katie seduces him and, when she gets close enough, rips his throat with her bare teeth. The two women then manage to escape their chains. Soon after, the sheriff shows up, presumably to kill them. However, as soon as the sheriff gets out of his car, Katie and Sloan have stolen it. They drive back into town and go to the hardware store to get supplies. They then ask the cashier if he knew Boris, the man driving the blue truck, and he knew where he lived on the opposite side of town. So some serious crap was about to happen. Uncle Jason visits the town's car insurance building today to continue his investigation. He makes up a story about colliding with a blue truck by accident and asks the owner. When Boris returns home, it turns out that Katie and Sloan have ambushed him and severely injured him with a number of nail-spiked tennis balls. Now that things have turned around, Boris begs for his life and even offers them money in exchange for saving his life. When Uncle Jason returns to Boris's house, Katie and Sloan start asking him who the man in the pig mask is, but Boris won't answer. Katie and Sloan take a makeshift spear they made and thrust it up his behind, which eventually kills him. When Uncle Jason ultimately reaches the house, it looks that Katie and Sloan have left, and he observes a dying Boris. Jason then hears the noise of car engines and storms outside. After Katie and Sloan leave, Uncle Jason rushes the dying Boris to the hospital. When the sheriff returns, he tells Uncle Jason that Boris did not survive. Uncle Jason becomes even more concerned and tries to call Katie's phone, but when he realizes his cover is blown, the sheriff pulls a gun. After driving up in front of a church, Katie and Sloan, after learning that pig-masked dude is actually the town's priest, Katie and Sloan drive up in front of a church. Once inside, Sloan confronts her rapist, and the two best friends defeat the idiot together with Katie's assistance. As Katie and Sloan leave, it appears that they are happy and carefree. However, upon stopping and getting out of the vehicle, they discover that pig-masked dude, also known as the priest, has been chained behind the truck the entire time. In a cruel twist of irony, they douse him in gasoline and light him on fire before driving away, leaving the two women seemingly unharmed. The sheriff is now holding Uncle Jason imprisoned, and to make matters worse, it looks like the sheriff has taken two more young women into custody. Fortunately, Katie and Sloan arrive to the rescue. They tie up the sheriff and torture him by having him play Russian roulette. The sheriff starts apologizing, but Katie eventually kills him with a blow to the head. It's clear that the two women are somewhat insane, but we can't really blame them. Katie and Sloan free the women and instruct them to rescue Uncle Jason. Jason tries to ask the women who killed the sheriff, but they won't respond out of gratitude that Katie and Sloan saved their lives. Subsequently, Katie and Sloan visit Jed and Lucas's mother, where they decide to drug her in the same manner that she had drugged them a few days earlier. They tie her up, take her to the basement, where Jed is tied up and gagged. They then bash his head in with baseball bats while the mother is forced to look on. Next, they take her to Lucas, who is also tied up to a chair. Instead of beating him to death, they untie him, hand him a bat, and threaten to beat his own mother. When Lucas expresses his disapproval, they shoot him dead. Later, the two women arrange his body so that it appears as though he committed suicide. In the next scene, it is revealed that they intend to blame him for all the killings. Desperate, the mother gives the money in return for her life being spared, but Katie takes the lawnmower and kills her mercilessly. Some time has passed when Uncle Jason arrives at Katie's house to pick her and Sloan up. After being dropped off at the airport, Katie and Sloan eagerly head to New York City.
captivity.